Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun, as always, is my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Hey, get out of here! It's a magic trick.
What is going on?
No, I'm doing the executioner.
What? Why are your pants around your ankles?
No, it's just turn on the fan when you leave.
I don't want to. Let's get into this.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts! We're others, we're not! We're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare! We're facing dread! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless! We're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 4, Episode number 12. Criss Angel is a douchebag.
True.
That's not false information. And we are joined by a guest you may recognize from the Amazon series Inside Jokes. Please welcome comedian MK Paulsen.
Hello.
So happy to have you here. A man who's on pain meds with a broken foot and has never watched Supernatural before.
Yeah, a captive audience we forced a guest on the show.
A real trifecta of a guest, if you will.
Absolutely. I fucking love it so much. This is one of my favorite ways to like set up a comedian is to like put them on something that they have no knowledge before and just like turn the knob and let them go. We do it with our other podcast sometimes with Dr. DC. We have a comic book podcast, and it's just very funny just to see what people know and don't know.
I feel like I'm good at Marvel. I don't know if I know DC. I just was never a DC kid.
And that's all right. That is it. Largely, what I find, especially people our age, tend to end up being more Marvel than they are DC. I find maybe it's just
Marvel just took over too, right? Like they just like essentially with the whole like movie franchise and stuff, like they just dominated, and DC kind of didn't keep up in the same way.
Oh, for sure. We have like a couple like spikes for sure. Like you get your Deaths of Superman, you get like your like the Batman Begins franchise, like the Batman the Animated Series. There's a couple good points for sure that like the general public who weren't like huge comic book fans will jump into. But overall, yeah, it's I find more people who are not like huge comic book fans are Marvel people.
Yeah, that's true.
It's okay. Come to terms.
Whatever. I'm cool. I'm on the outside.
Yeah, you're coming in with weird energy today, and I'm excited to see where that
I'm
goes.
in a very weird place after being
Locked
home
up
for like 8 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm having a.
When only engaging with a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I'm having a time.
So MK, I'm just kind of curious. Like, I know that you've never seen the show, but like, were you aware of its existence even?
I mean, kind of, but I think but not really. Like, I've literally never watched an episode, but I do have a funny little anecdote that, like,
please.
Who's the guy? Okay, so one of the actors, not the one with long hair, but the
hot one.
I think the one with long hair.
Whoa!
Is it Jensen the one that's
hot,
the hot one? Really?
So Jared is the tall one with long hair.
Yeah.
Jensen is Dean is the other brother.
Well, the tall long hair one more my type, probably because it looks more like me. He just
100%. I was just gonna say. I was like, yeah, he's got a real MK look.
Wow, that guy's a real handsome fella, isn't he? Looking in a mirror with a broken foot. But so wait, these guys, I think both of them actually, or at one point, I don't know if they still do, but they lived in Austin, which is where I kind of came up in comedy.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And after I finished grad school, this is a stupid story. When I finished grad school, I worked at a dry cleaners, and Jensen Ackles came into my dry cleaners and dropped clothes off all the time. And all the other people that worked there were just like, oh my God, it's the guy from Supernatural. I don't know what you're talking about. Had no idea who this guy was. And then but he's a big deal. He's got like 7 million Instagram followers. I don't even know.
Yeah. It's really interesting because this show, I mean, I don't even know how much you're aware of, but like this show went on for 15 seasons. Like it went on for a very, very long time.
Up until just a couple of years ago.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Just about. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think he was always destined to be probably for bigger things, but the show was so like consistently on. He was getting a great amount of money and he likes to do lots of businesses and stuff. And so I think it allowed allowed him to have the life that he wanted. And so he never really left, but he was offered a ton of crazy roles. Like he was up for being Hawkeye in the Avengers. He was up for being like the Christian Grey.
Yeah, Christian Grey.
Christian Grey.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But here's the thing: like he just never.
You don't want to be doing that dry cleaning.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
promise you.
boy.
That wouldn't be dry cleanable. But it's interesting because now that the show's done, he's already like he's gonna be on the new season of The Boys. Like he's gonna be. He was in that Alec Baldwin.
He was going to be in that Alec Baldwin.
Is it not?
movie.
Is it just done? Is it not?
I
happening?
can't imagine them coming back
Yeah, it'll be interesting
after that.
But that
Oh
that
yeah,
Western.
he was supposed to be in Rust. I saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that his like sort of latter career is still going to be really interesting because at the end of the day, like, and maybe this episode isn't the best example of it, but he's a really incredible actor, and especially maybe just juxtaposed against Jared. But
I know I always feel
I
bad.
love
always
Jared. We have to be nice to Jared. We have to be nice to old Chair Bear.
I always go back to one of our past guests used the line, either you're a Jensen girl or you're a lesbian, which is my favorite thing I've ever heard. But yeah, absolutely. He is definitely I think the stronger of the two. Jared is now on the Walker Texas Ranger reboot.
Yeah, which I mean, I feel like that's going to be good too. I mean, they both have to have more money than God at this point, right?
I think they're doing all right.
Yeah, they have a lot of like side businesses as well. Because the thing about Supernatural, it was basically became a machine a few years in, and though they didn't make a ton of money because they were on the CW and they knew how much they could get away with still continuing to do the show. So they never had huge payouts, which is why I think the show could stay on for so long. But they have they both of them own like a bar in Austin. I think Jensen owns family business, a brewing company in Austin,
in Dripping Springs.
So
have you guys ever been to Austin? You need to come down and do the tour of the Supernatural. Jensen and what's
Jared.
Yeah.
Well, I want
to see Jensen's dry cleaner.
Yeah. We'll do the MK Paulsen knowledge of Supernatural tour, which is the dry cleaner.
The MK Paulsen tour extraordinaire. There's a lot of musical numbers in this tour. That's just me singing about things I don't understand.
It's one location, but there's 4 numbers, an act break.
Right. I will
costume change,
top hat and a cane and a full tuxedo. So
you know what? That's worth it.
Buckle up. I will say the dry cleaner I worked at, I only worked there for like 3 months before I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, I have a master's degree from the university. And I'm working but I was doing it because it was like it was like 12-hour days, but you only work like 3 or 4 days a week.
Right. Oh, wow.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I could go do comedy stuff at night.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, but the dry cleaner I worked at also popular with Karl Rove. So that's
wow.
it was a dry cleaner on like the west side of town, which is like in the far west suburbs, which is like the super duper rich areas.
Right.
So just like mega millionaires coming in to the
crazy.
So are you from Austin or just like around it?
I grew up in a little town like 3 hours outside of Austin. So it's actually closer to Fort Worth. But then I went to graduate school. I went to a UT system school, and then I went to grad school in Austin. So I lived in Austin for 6 years.
So do you remember like before the big like Austin boom?
Kind of, but I mean, I feel like it's just been like a huge, yes. I mean, what I consider that I do, but then even when I got there, there were people that are like, "Oh, Austin's changed so much." Like,
right.
But like when I lived in Austin, there was a Whole Foods downtown. It's the headquarters of Whole Foods, but like, they hadn't built a Whole Foods on the east side of town, which is like now just like insane. It's like it was like where the hipster bars were.
Sure, yeah.
Now there's like a Whole Foods right where my favorite bar was, kind of thing.
Sure.
Incredible. That's I'm fascinated endlessly by Austin. I've never been, but I love.
You gotta go.
I'd love to go.
It's great, especially. I mean, I don't know. The scene has changed so much. It's like now it's getting so big, and like I went back in June and I went to an open mic. Like there's this whole Joe Rogan boom too going on. And just like, honestly, all the people I kind of don't. A lot of people I don't love in LA have moved to Austin, which I'm like, whatever. But it's crazy. You guys should go check it out.
Yeah, if not, at least for that the big festival, the
Moon Tower.
Yeah.
Moon Tower. There's a lot. There's like 3 different festivals now. There's also one there's a few different ones that are even like, if you guys could apply for it. I'm sure you could get it. I can put in a word for you if you.
Ooh.
Oh.
They had like at one point there were 3 different comedy festivals in Austin. So
Wow.
Crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I also just like because we managed the comedy fest up here, I've been like dying to just go check other comedy fests out.
You got to go meet people,
Yeah.
schmooze, shake hands, kiss babies.
Yeah, exactly. We were gonna go do that actually because the Vancouver Just for Laughs is about to happen. But just as we booked our ticket because we're also going to go to a Comic-Con while we're there, they canceled the comedy fest, and we were just like, God damn it.
Yeah, are they going to do JFL this summer? I mean,
they are going to do it theoretically. They have all of the plans are still in place, but it seems like everybody's flying by the seat of their pants, and JFL is definitely doing that right now. I think they pushed the Vancouver JFL basically only like maybe like a couple weeks, which is going to not line up with our trip. But it's interesting. Like everybody's just like, maybe let's just push it a little bit and see what happens. So theoretically, if Omicron's like better by summer, they should still be doing it. At least that's from the insider information that I have.
Well, last year they did New Faces, which I still have never gotten. Thank you. Standing ovations. I was just like banging my head against walls, like, give me the fuck. I'm gonna like keep auditioning, and just every year I'm doing an older and older character. Slowly, I swear to God, I want to do like a walker and just be like, "Help me! I'm doing comedy."
I was just telling Reed actually before we started about the gay lighthouse joke because it's probably my favorite.
Gay lighthouse.
It's one of my favorite bits.
It's not a bad joke. Still works. Gotta say. Anyway.
It's great, but it's interesting because on the New Faces thing, it's funny because we got an opportunity up here. I was given the opportunity to be able to set up a show for JFO, which like one doesn't usually happen because they usually will like have the pre-decided which comedians they want, but they're trying to get more sort of Canadian comedians, and so they reached out to me and were like, hey, like who do you think like should be on the show? And I set up a bunch of them, but it was funny because after they did the show, a bunch of the comedians were like reaching out to me being like, have you heard anything? I'm like, oh my God, have you heard it? And I was like, look, I love all of you. But here's the thing. I was like, the chances of this happening are really slim. Like there's people who do this every single year and like get on like after doing it like 9 times. Like the chances of you like your very first time from being in like a small Yukon town, like it's pretty slim. So just like be happy you got the opportunity.
Yeah. I will say it does seem like for Canadians, it's a lot more equitable and like
totally
based and
probably.
Like, I feel like the New Faces showcase is just like a shit show sometimes, and I'm like,
we are definitely benefit from the fact that 1, there's less comedians up here. 2, they have like Canadian content like rules and stuff, and they need to be able to like they probably want to celebrate Canada as much as they can.
They want to represent as many jurisdictions too as possible. Is probably
Yukon always benefits from having like in our entire territory, which is like the size of Texas, only 30,000 people, 40,000 people live here. So we definitely benefit from it. People are like, well, we got to have something from the Yukon.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them down there. But that's great. Did y'all have somebody the last few years they did it, or did y'all
so we only got to do it once, and then COVID hit. But we're working on something else with JFL right now, I think, which is going to be really exciting. And they want to come back up, which that alone, I was like, okay, I didn't fuck up. Like the fact that they want to come up here and look at comedians again, it's like incredible. We're really lucky, I think. But
that's awesome.
Anyways, let's start talking about the show.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to distract because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's okay. It's okay.
Talk about comedy festival.
So this episode aired January 22nd, 2009.
Okay.
MK, do you remember 2009 at all?
January 2nd, 2009. Where would I have been?
22nd, sorry.
I would have been like starting comedy. That literally would have been
wow.
When I think that was the time, right around the time I started comedy.
Wow, like 13 years of comedy. Jesus.
Nice.
Maybe even was before that.
Wow. So would you be in Austin then maybe?
I actually started in DC. So after I finished college, and actually, no, this was even before I started comedy, because I would have been in this would have been right around when I was starting. I think I started May 2009. I took an intro comedy class at the DC Improv.
Wow.
What is DC comedy like?
Oh, DC's great. I loved it. It's like that town is like a pretty, it's a big government town, but there's like a lot of young people, like a lot of 20-somethings, 30-somethings, and like very educated town, but like people have these office jobs that are real intense, and then they just like want to go drink after work. And so like the comedy scene, like the audiences I always felt were just like super intelligent, but not
Wow.
necessarily like overly woke because but I mean, no one's like
Yeah.
this to DC, but like, yeah, it was a great place to like come up and do comedy, and the DC Improv is a great comedy club, and there's this pipeline in New York because it's only 3 hours away, so it's just like so many great people spent time in the DC scene, like John Mulaney and
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Wanda Sykes, and like
That's
just,
awesome.
like even like smaller names too. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I would
dope,
never
yeah.
have thought about DC in that way. So this episode was written by Julie Siege, directed by Robert Singer, and viewed by an estimated 3.06 million viewers.
I mean, holding fast around 3 million for the last couple of seasons.
Look, for a CW show like in the early 2000s, like that's still pretty
And like we
decent.
always say, compared to like the
Now.
viewership numbers shows get now, yeah.
I mean that even kind of predates streaming, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
There wasn't was Netflix a thing?
Netflix is 2007 is when Netflix like streaming, I think, like
But
sort
it
of kicked
still
off.
hasn't really taken over.
No.
It's
They basically don't really launch until they get something like The Office or Friends, and then I think that's when everybody starts getting on. But they're still doing like DVD rentals and stuff at this
Right.
point. So yeah, I mean, this is like for a TV show that's just week to week, and we're not talking about streaming numbers or anything. Like that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And they kind of don't ever lose that number, which is impressive. So the episode is called Criss Angel is a Douchebag.
Right.
The episode's title is a reference to Criss Angel, if people don't know, a real life magician that dresses and wears makeup similar to Jeb Dexter in this episode. Interestingly, Jeb refers to his own real life inspiration by name in the episode, mentioning Angel being a Cirque du Soleil during a phone conversation. So
Yeah.
do you guys remember Criss Angel?
Of course.
Were you a mind freak? Yeah.
I never watched it, but I definitely remember the jokes. I remember them making fun of Criss Angel.
It's funny because Criss, I
But he's actually a good magician, right?
I mean, I think
kinda
that-
redefine the genre a little bit.
they all are. You know, the things that the things people take exception to with Criss Angel is like more about his personality or his attitude or his presentation of stuff. But like all of these people are like accomplished magicians. You have to be first, and then you add whatever your like sauce is on top of that. But it's funny because I remember Criss Angel made me go, man, David Blaine isn't that bad.
Yeah.
I was like, I used to think David Blaine was kind of like obnoxious and
Yeah.
hard to watch. It's like, we get it, man. It's intense. It's magic. And then Criss Angel would come along and be like,
Never
man, I
mind.
wish he was David Blaine.
Wish he was grounded like David Blaine.
Yeah.
Do either of you ever go through like a magic phase?
I never like got into it, but a very, very good friend of mine from theater school is one of the best magicians I've ever seen.
Wow.
He's incredibly talented magician. And I remember, I mean, he won't appreciate this because later he was taking it very seriously, like as an
Yes.
art. But I remember in first year, he'd walk around the student center, like only going up to like tables of girls and being like, pick a card. He was just like, he would like do all this and be like, is that your card? He would do this trick where he'd draw like a stick man on a card, and then he'd make the stick man like jump and
Oh,
stuff
wow.
to different cards. Like he was really good. He was like in my wedding party, and at the cocktail hour, he brought like a deck of
That's
cards and
good.
just
Oh,
walked
that's
around like and did stuff. He's so good. And I worked on a couple of magic shows with him, and he literally showed me how to do some of them, and I was like watching him explain to me how he did them, and I was like, but how? Like he would show me, he was like, and then I do this, and I'd go, but like
But where's the source of your mana?
it
Like,
still didn't explain it. He would like pull back the curtain, and I'd go, I don't get it.
too dumb.
It's like somebody trying to explain math. It's like
It's how it felt. 100%
I
how
still
it felt.
just don't understand.
You're invisible numbers. I don't get it. That's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother went through a magic phase when we were kids, and I
Oh,
never
wow.
got into it. But like we would go to magic stores and buy tricks and like stuff.
Did you do like shows for your family?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah, I feel I only maybe ever had like just costume pieces, but I never like got into it myself. I never tried to learn how to do a trick or anything. I just like had a top hat and a wand. Like, you know what I mean? I was more into the theater of it.
Oh, is that you? Is that
If
something
you can
that you'd be
imagine,
interested
guy
in?
who went to theater school.
I was really
I opened for Justin Willman once. Who was
Whoa!
Oh, that's neat.
He's great, yeah, because he especially in the LA scene, like he really hung around like comedians and stuff too, eh?
Yeah, for sure. And then like in LA, there's like it's so there are really great like the Comedy of Magic Like there's like so much great stuff, but I've gone to shows where there's just like parlor guys doing like card tricks, and it's so fun.
You're just like, fucking get these magicians out of here.
Yeah, god damn it. Invasive magicians everywhere.
Place is lousy with
You
them.
fucking turn the lights on and they scramble. That's really funny. So this episode actually had a few different tentative titles, including Ace Up My Sleeve,
Sure,
and Magic Me. Which is
I don't like that one.
Which is almost the title from, I think it's the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, the Defense Against the Arts Teachers, Magical Me, the
Lockhart.
Yeah, Lockhart.
Well, right.
Because I'm cool. But I think we talked about, like, I mean, this episode obviously gives it away a bit, and the way that they talk about Criss Angel in this episode, and even just us, I think, internally discussing. But I did a bit of research of just like trying to figure out like why people hated him so much beyond just the like peripheral like.
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw a guess out here, and this is like not based on anything.
Besides just the way his face looks.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely gave off the vibe of someone who would be rude to the people making his show, which they play on in this episode because Jeb is like that. But I mean, it's, that's a kind of a shitty thing to say without knowing somebody, but like that's always the vibe I got, is like this guy thinks everywhere he walks is hallowed ground.
Yes,
kind of thing.
Totally. And deep in the like underbelly of Magic Reddit, I got some information, and the sort of like the overwhelming thing that kept coming back was that they hate him because he a lot of his tricks are based on like camera stuff more than it is like actual like typical magic.
Actual like in the room.
Yeah, like
illusions,
stuff, right? And he used a lot of like stooges, so like people who like weren't actually like random people on the street. And also apparently he screwed over a lot of other magicians. He would befriend creators and then took sole credit for their work.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, and then just the fact that he was a direct response to like classic and even like somewhat modern like magic aesthetic. Like if you look at like where magic was even in the 90s, like he was a direct sort of like response to like, oh, I don't wear a suit, I don't like this isn't like this isn't like a proper thing.
Yeah, what if My Chemical Romance did magic?
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting because like I can totally get it. Like he was also kind of late in that aesthetic itself.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
By the time that he was like coming in with his like Tommy
I
Lee
think
look,
maybe
like,
that also is a thing that, like, again, this is just assumptions, but it always felt insincere. Like you are not the guy who paints his nails and combs his hair that way and goes see MCR in concert, but you're tapping into it. Like it felt like it felt like a part as opposed to like.
I mean, I feel like that whole like look was like authentic in like 2002.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It felt like he was late to the train with it, which was very funny in itself. I mean, though, like magic aesthetically is always a few years behind, but
sure. Wait, you mean capes and top hats aren't in?
Uh-oh.
Well, they are on MK Paulsen's Jensen and Jared tour of Austin.
Full circle. It's come back.
Love that.
It's coming all the way around. Did you wait? Criss Angel by this point too had to have already been a big deal for there to be an
totally.
Yeah, he must have been on TV a bunch.
He peaked around 2005, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think he was already kind of a joke at this point, wasn't he?
1,000%.
Even though he's a great magician, he's still probably like doubling down. I have a quick question about. Wait, are you a big Star Trek guy?
How could you tell?
Dude, I'm so obsessed with Star Trek. You guys need to start a Star Trek podcast.
I'm so sorry. We'll change
and I'll
right
be
now.
on every episode.
Yeah, well, are you seeing the artwork right behind me?
Yeah, I love it. I'm so
Mike Picard.
We're both uncomfortably big Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we'll have to talk. What do you think of all the new stuff on like CBS?
We love Discovery.
I did love Discovery. I feel like season 4 is kind of being a little, I don't know.
Totally.
It's a little, they had these big things they were trying to accomplish. And then now it's like season 4, it's like, I guess we'll have an anomaly. I'm like,
They jumped the shark so many times, kind of the way that actually, like, if you followed Supernatural, the way that this show kind of does, but they sort of like stuttered because it was like they jumped too big of a shark last season. It was like, we're going to jump into the fucking future. And it was like, we can't. Oh shit! Like they did the mirror universe, they did the future.
Yeah.
Like it's like I don't. Oh shit!
But here's broadly what I'll say about it. What I like about New Trek right now is a more heightened version of what I liked about that golden age of Trek in the 90s, which was they were like, each show we're gonna just try something different. TNG is like your classic Trek. Deep Space Nine, what if we were in one place and it was about how the Federation's politics don't work?
Yes.
You know, and then Voyager was like, you aren't even like connected, you're like on your own, you got to survive. And they like each show had like a different aim. And what I like about New Trek is the same sort of thing. Lower Decks is such like
Lower Decks is so good.
Lower Decks is so much fun, but it's such a like, you've watched Star Trek, this is for you. Here's a little inside baseball fun. And then Discovery is like, what if we just keep like pushing like what Trek can look like and like what the tech looks like.
Well, and taking the movies and essentially going like, okay, we took like the Calvin sort of
what if we like
vibe?
What if we movify TV? And then I think Strange New Worlds is going to be like a fun way to like modernize the classic Trek formula. Yeah. Prodigy is like Trek for kids, but it's like
it's Star Wars for Star Trek fans. That's what it feels like. Star Wars animated.
I like Prodigy, dude.
Prodigy looks amazing.
Out. It's such a fun show.
Totally is.
And the animation's incredible. And it's like, I'm all on board for New Trek. I appreciate that everything is slightly different from everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. But it never gets better than TNG.
I know it's not a popular opinion. My favorite series though is Voyager.
Whoa. But when they get like 7 of 9.
Yeah, once they get 7 of 9.
That's the key.
I did just watch an episode where Neelix starts being an investigative reporter and he finds out who's been feeding information to the Kazon and he fucking incinerates the guy. They have a fight and he like throws him into the warp core.
Neelix?
Yeah. I was like, I don't remember this at all.
The thing to me about Voyager is I think like they had such strong characters, but they also had some of the worst. I mean, the Doctor and 7 of 9 and Janeway, I think, are all truly incredible characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got like Neelix, and I wanted to like Tuvok, but he just wasn't.
They don't give Chakotay anything to work with. Chakotay is such like a good character, and they give him nothing.
Well, and they set up like his his society and stuff like that in TNG, don't they? With the whole
the Maquis?
Yeah. Like they could have done so much with them, like being like, what the fuck happened to like the boy who like became energy? Like,
yeah.
I have a theory that Voyager like appeals to a lot of queer people more so, even though like DS9 had Dax, which they like explored some like,
and it had the Garrick Bashir thing too.
But definitely like 7 of 9 and Janeway had like a bit of a lesbian vibe.
Oh yeah.
And the Doctor had like
dreams.
A queer vibe, the way he was super into opera and like Anyway.
That's true. Yeah, I could absolutely see that. That's awesome.
So we're starting a Star Trek podcast.
I like literally talked to a friend, another comedian, and she's like, yeah, I have this group, we've gotten into Deep Space Nine. I'm like, I actually love Voyager is my favorite. And she's like, how could you possibly ever say that? And I was like, that's the meanest thing. I love Kate Mulgrew, and don't you dare. Anyway,
there's not a lot of Voyager podcasts. Are we doing this?
I feel like that, but aren't there? There's got to be like a million Star Trek podcasts.
There's one it's Paris and Kim do it. It's called the Delta Flyers.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I mean, Harry wasn't a bad character. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
So international titles for this episode. There's only 2 international titles we have this week. The German title is Illusions.
Sure.
And the Hungarian title is Deathly Enchantment.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hungary.
Fucking, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty for Hungary.
Deathly Enchantment.
It's pretty rad.
That.
I like it a lot. Featured music from this episode, we have "She Makes Me Fall Down" by Buva, and my favorite one from the actual like scoring artists for this show, Christopher Leonard's and Steve Rangadakis. The song is called "The Douchebag Theme," which I think is very fun. I love that. Cute. TV Guide describes this episode as a formerly famous magician living in a small town makes a deal to acquire real magic powers and pays a heavy price for it when a murder occurs.
I mean, that's not really how the episode
No,
goes.
it's absolutely not.
It's a weird way to write the synopsis.
Especially now after finding
Because
out.
that's like you're putting the emphasis on the wrong character.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is very funny.
I do love the older magician that's just like, you're old, you can't do magic. Get out of here with your card tricks. You have a boxy suit on, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. But before we get into talking about the episode, let's open up Dad's journal and learn about some of the real world lore on today's episode.
Let's see what the lore says about stage magic.
Really?
Yeah, baby.
Ooh.
So the word magic derives from the ancient Greek word. I'm not going to pronounce it properly.
No, do it.
Magoi,
Oh, that feels like a racial slur.
which
It's a racial slur against Irish or Scottish people. He's a McCoy. That feels offensive. I want to apologize to all Irish and Scottish people.
I
No,
don't. I want to double down.
Yeah. Fuck those people.
So that word is itself a transliteration of the Persian word magosh, which referred to like priests in ancient Persia. So the Greeks used the term magoi to refer to like unnatural or foreign or
Like
illegitimate.
supernatural?
No, unnatural. Rituals of the Persian priests to say like the way they do it is wrong. And then eventually, popularly, the word came to be applied to anything that was like an illusion or unexplained or potentially could be attributed to the witchcraft of Persian priests.
So like when women talk
magic
back
is magoi,
and
is
things like
magosh.
that.
Like, sorry?
Like when women talk back or that kind of stuff.
I mean, listen, a lot of things have been called magic over the years. But illusionism, the way that we understand it now, has been around for like thousands of years. But the first published work devoted to illusions and stage magic is Reginald Scott's The Discovery of Witchcraft in 1584. So Scott's intention was essentially to debunk belief in witchcraft and magic, because he was like, a bunch of like poor people and old people are being like condemned as witches.
Funny how that always happens, that the things that like end up like wiping out a group of people tends to be for poor and like other races.
Yeah, it's almost like it's some sort of system of oppression. So at any rate, he specifically he wanted to fight the persecution of people as witches. So in the book, he blames the Roman Catholic Church for perpetuating the idea of witches and
That's
real
fair.
magic. And the book itself is one of the first ones that describes like how certain illusions are performed.
So that's really the least of the problem with the Roman Catholic Church.
I mean, listen, one thing at a time, right? So it describes like sleight of hand, like rope tricks, and it describes a trick called the decollation of John Baptist, which is like a beheading illusion. And he says like, this is how they do it. It's one of the first like texts that describes how a trick is performed.
Wow.
So a lot more books about specific executions of illusions and tricks are published during the 17th century.
Now, was this guy killed at the stake for writing this book?
I mean, it feels pretty ballsy. Although I think the thing that saves him is that he's in Britain in the late 1500s, when they are also kind of like, fuck you Catholics.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's sort of the thing that saves him.
Wow.
Modern stage magic was largely pioneered by a guy called Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin in the 19th century France. So his last name, Robert Houdin, is what Houdini names himself after.
Oh, really?
He takes Houdin and then just
yeah.
puts an I at the end of it. So Houdin had a magic theater in Paris in the 1840s, and that kind of marks
who didn't have a magic theater.
Well, this is the thing. He's one of the first. It kind of marks a bit of a transition from magic being this thing performed at like fairs and stuff to being considered a more like legitimate art form.
Yeah.
That people pay tickets and come and sit down and see. And part of that is because it kind of corresponds with like a waning belief in witchcraft. It becomes more respectable to be like, I want to see magic in that. Not like, it's not like satanic so much anymore. From the 19th century to the early 20th century, stage magic was a massive commercial success in music halls, in vaudeville, even on Broadway. The Magic Circle is an organization of professional illusionists and magicians. It was formed in 1905 to promote the art of stage magic. and their motto is indocilla privata loqui, or not apt to disclose secrets. So this is where the like a magician never tells thing comes from. To be part of
Not just because they're kind of sassy.
being part of the magic circle, there are like
I'll never tell.
I'll never tell. There are like levels in the magic circle. Like it's not just like a blanket membership. There's like exams to write. There's like tests and stuff, and there's like an inner circle of like a very few of them, and then there's kind of like general memberships. It's almost like an order. It's like the Masons or
When does it become about sex?
The magic circle?
Yeah, it just feels like anytime you get a magic circle or like a inner or like working order of something.
Right.
It
There's like an eyes wide shut thing.
Yeah, it always
I mean,
ends up
they
with
wear
sex.
the same costumes.
Oh.
I'll take it.
But yeah, that's where
That was their motto, actually.
That's where the I'll never tell thing comes from. I'll take it. Jesus Christ. So there are a number of types of stage magic illusions, including parlor magic, close-up magic, stage illusions, escapology, pickpocket magic, mentalism, mechanical magic. But they also kind of categorize illusions and magic tricks by the effect. Like, what is it that is the magic?
Sure.
So there's production magic, making something from nothing. There's the vanish, make something disappear. Transformation is to change something from one form to another. Sure. I have a ball, now it's a dove.
Sure.
Restoration, which is like cutting the rope and putting it back together.
Renovating old houses.
Yeah. Bob Vila was a fucking magician.
Levitation is 100% one of them. There's transposition, where you take a bunch of objects and you like swap their places.
Sure.
There's teleportation, where you move one object a distance unaccounted for.
Yeah.
There's escape, obviously. There's penetration.
Oh.
Where solid objects pass through each other.
I mean, you could say I'm kind of a magician myself.
Jesus.
I'm something of a magician myself, Peter.
And then the last one is prediction. Or the guesswork. You've seen the card, I don't know it.
Sure.
And a lot of illusions and magic tricks are a combination of those things.
Totally.
So if you think of like cup and ball or stuff like that, some of that is transposition, but it's also
I have a premonition you're about to get penetrated.
Jesus. But it's also the vanish. It's all that kind of stuff. That is so predatory. It could only be said in the magic circle.
It's magic, Your Honor.
Jesus. Good Lord. But yeah, stage magic, baby.
Wow.
It's not even real magic.
That's what?
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
The magic circle's gonna come after me now.
Someone could say the magic was the friends we made along the way.
The magic circle was the friends we made along the way.
Those we penetrated along the way.
Oh man, I don't know.
Talk about a magic circle.
I've had a few magic circles in my day. And, as a gay man, let me tell you.
I don't understand. Explain it.
Well, about 19 of my best friends. No, that's.
Whoa!
Whoa, ladies!
I need to become friends.
Oh man!
I got 908 of my dearest friends.
Whoa!
Horrifying.
Jesus! This is an eyes wide shut situation.
This is an eyes wide shut. I used to do a whole bit. I still kind of do, where I pretend to be a Christian magician on stage.
What?
I do a card trick, but then before I do it, I have to have a prayer and ask for the power of Jesus, and say that if it doesn't work, it's not because God doesn't exist, but it's because the audience isn't faithful enough. So I'm also a magician, guys.
That's incredible.
I mean, it's the perfect
I'll
end.
have to. I think I have a clip of it online. I'll send it to you guys.
Please, we'll post it with
amazing,
this
yeah.
episode, because that sounds incredible.
That's very funny.
Oh my God. All right. Well, let's get into today's episode
Sure.
finally. We begin with our sort of flashback of previous episodes, something that is going to be very perplexing for MK. So we have the demon Ruby and Sam using his magic powers. So Jared, being Sam, using his... so MK, we found out that Jared's got all of these psychic powers in the previous season. We find out it's because...
He's got a bit of demon blood.
Yeah, as a
now.
baby, he like a demon blood put in him, and so now he's got all his psychic powers. Ruby's a demon that wants him to use those powers by drinking more demon blood so that he can help save the world.
Have we learned that that's what it is yet? I don't think we have.
Yeah, the whole thing is about taking down Lilith.
No, but I don't think we've learned that he's drinking
Yeah,
demon
no,
blood.
they definitely have. Yeah. They definitely have, because that's one of the things that he freaks out about, I think.
They're vague about it. I think they've said it yet, man.
We'll see. But
Spoilers.
But
Richard ruined it.
This universe is just magic exists.
Yes.
And
the idea is basically that in this universe, there monsters, all the monsters that you've ever heard about are real.
Yeah.
So like werewolves are real, vampires are real,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And then also like real magic exists through like witches. It's basically
Chris Angel is real.
yes, in this world, Criss Angel is real. And he's a warlock.
Yeah.
But we find out that Dean's has this distaste for Ruby. He doesn't like that she's a demon, making him use these powers that he thinks. And we find out also that the angels, because like hell exists as well as heaven.
Yeah.
Now we found out this season. So the angels tell them that like Sam should not be using these powers because they're from a demon.
Yeah.
So Dean hates that Ruby and hates the fact that you're doing this. They sort of made up in the previous
Yeah, they're
episode.
kind of on better terms.
But she's still trying to get Sam to use his power. We see Alistair, who is this like big, heavy demon that like is super strong. And we find out that in the previous season, Dean went to hell and came back. And when he was in hell, he ended up torturing people with Alistair.
Yeah.
So that's a thing we're coping with. And more of just Ruby wanting Sam to use his power. So that is the then. Does that get you set up, right? Now you understand how the show works?
Sure. I had no idea any of that was going on.
Fortunately, you don't really need to know for this episode.
Most of it you don't need
Yeah,
to
this
know.
is this episode had like a Buffy feel to me, like one of the kind of early season episodic feels of like Buffy.
Totally. And that's definitely where this show sort of gets a lot of its like foundation, is shows like Buffy. And then a lot of the people that create and sort of are part of this show were also a part of the X-Files. So you're getting a lot of that too. So they totally get the Monster of the Week thing, and it's definitely something that they take into this show. So we then open on the episode. It's Magic Week in Sioux City, and Jay, a magician, sits in a bar amusing the waitress with card tricks. He's an older guy. He's kind of hitting on her, maybe.
I mean, I don't think he's like he's like I'm gonna bag this broad. I don't think it's like that.
When she says like this old guy, he gets real sad about it.
I know, but I think he's just like someone is interested, and I used to be good at this, and that's at least that's enough for me. And then like I think he's more just upset that like everyone's patronizing.
I'm gonna dust off the old wand and give it a whirl.
Do you know there's a magical effect called penetration?
So they're in a bar and inside of a hotel. This hotel is actually in Vancouver, where the show is filmed.
Sure.
It's called the Hotel Patricia, which is the setting for this whole entire episode, basically in different parts of this hotel. It is one of the nicer, seedy hotels right at the edge of downtown East Side in Vancouver. Right. The actual like province of British Columbia bought the whole hotel after this episode, though, and now used it for homeless housing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Because I know that that's a thing that they're talking about in like LA and stuff, as like maybe we give them a building and put homeless people.
I mean, that's
there,
happening in town
unhoused
too.
people. Yeah, and it's a thing that like is definitely become is a new sort of way to manage like unhoused people, which is awesome. Like I think that's it's a really cool idea. But we then see a younger magician, Patrick Vance, who's heckling them and basically like calling him washed up. Calling him, you like this guy.
I want to throw something out there.
Yeah.
Because like this young guy is like, check his pocket. The card's in his pocket. Oh, card trick. Good job, Che. He's being real shitty, and he's just like in a cape.
Yeah.
It's like
cape.
He looks like the schlocky magician. Like Jay is in like normal clothes and doing magic.
He's in an
This guy
MK touring outfit.
The other guy looks like he is like a kid pretending to do magic, and he's the one heckling. It's so funny.
And he's kind of acting like he's drunk, right? He's like,
yeah.
Like just like, oh god, awful.
This is you old fuck. You don't know how to do magic.
I think we'll all agree that when this guy was murdered, we were all like kind of okay with it.
Yeah,
100% okay with it. No sympathy.
Yeah, no. You get drunk and make fun of somebody, you deserve death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Old man hit on this young broad. And
yeah, that guy should have gotten the chick.
Well,
I changed my tone
because the woman with Vance is like, leave him alone, but like no one's really standing up for Jay. They're just kind of like, leave him alone. The
Look, he's just a pathetic old piece of
he's
shit. Leave him alone.
Yeah, let the old guy do his fucking trick or whatever. Like, everyone is so shitty to him.
It's very sad. So we then later after this scene, we see Jay, the magician, and his friends Charlie and Vernon sitting in a theater watching another really flashy young magician called Jeb, who's who's trying to do basically
he's the Criss
Angel of this episode. Jeb Dexter, going through sort of his paces before the episode.
Well, he's like, the light has to find me. He's like being such a fucking diva.
Yeah,
and these three old guys chirping him. I love it. It's got all of the vibe of like. Imagine like three old school rockers at like the practice for an EDM concert. So it would be like, this isn't music. Like everything about it has like that vibe.
Yeah, it's Rolling Stones watching like Skrillex set up.
Yeah.
It's very funny. So several of the magicians in this episode appear to be named as an homage to real life magicians, particularly performers who are well known in the field of magic, but not necessarily in the general public.
Right.
So Jay likely refers to Jay Marshall, an author, performer, historian, and founder of Magic Inc. Vernon refers to Di Vernon, one of the most notable close-up magicians of the 20th century, and Charlie, who refers to Charlie Miller, who's considered one of the best performers for pure sleight of hand,
right?
Which is kind of really cool.
But these three guys are all kind of commiserating, I can't even shuffle the fucking deck anymore. It's like, oh, this piece of shit, this asshole.
I gotta take a pill just to be able to shuffle the deck.
Yeah.
And
the arthritis in my hand. I can't shuffle the deck.
And Jay is like, he's not the joke. We are. People are here to see him. He's like, we're just fucking complaining.
Yeah. Yeah. We're pathetic with our limp decks.
He's like, yeah, I think I want to shuffle off this mortal coil and kill myself tonight.
Want to escape this mortal coil.
He says, I want to do the table of death. And they're like, are you fucking crazy? You've never pulled this off.
You tried to do it 30 years ago and you couldn't do it. Like,
yeah. And he's like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. You could see the sort of like far off look in his eye. Like he kind of knows where this is going.
Yeah.
But we go to that night on stage and Jay lies bound under a rack of steel spikes about to descend. Like his death seems pretty certain.
And this is sad too, because, Jay is there also to perform at this magic conference, but like there's like three people in the room.
Yes.
Like where they were watching.
Somebody even stands up and walks out at the beginning of it.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all done shows or gigs
for nobody,
to, like, no audience.
Yeah. In real life, that's like my show, but my dad's walking out. So,
Daddy,
I don't want to see this.
I've done a play for two people before. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's not great at all. Yeah. I've definitely done stand up for nobody. So Barry Bostwick's character, as we haven't talked about that.
So Jay is played by Barry Bostwick.
Oh,
aka Brad Majors from Rocky Horror.
That's right. So he performs his trick, the Table of Death, behind an illuminated curtain showing his silhouette only.
Yeah,
this is an allusion to his most. This is sort of like a tip of the cap to his most famous role as Brad Majors, from Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975, in which a character is seduced by Dr. Frankfurter on a bed behind a curtain.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a fun sort of like connection to that. Yeah, they do a lot of that kind of stuff on this, which I love. But the spikes fall. But the curtain is parted to reveal that Jay is alive and well.
But it's interesting how they shoot it.
Because you see it, like, it kills him.
The spikes fall and go through his shadow.
Yeah.
And then when the curtain pulls back, he's there and everyone claps and he bows. But, like, you watched it. Like, it's not like the light goes out or something like that. So there's something hinky going on.
Oh. But meanwhile, as he's leaving the bar, the piece of shit fucking kids magician Patrick Vance is walking out wasted and falls to the ground. He's wasted,
but he doesn't his like assistant or whatever say you have a show in an hour. And He's like, I'll fucking be there.
Yeah. But he falls to the ground dead. Blood oozing from 10 puncture wounds in his chest, much like maybe a rack of spikes fell on him.
Yeah,
and that is the cold open for this episode.
Yeah,
we get the stuttering supernatural logo, and then we cut to the boys, Sam and Dean, arriving to investigate, and Judd is performing street magic, claiming to be using demon possession, which I love this.
Yeah, there's something funny where he's doing this very over dramatic, like, oh, back demon, like shit, and he flicks a bunch of cards at a window, and the ace of spades sticks.
I remember the first time I saw
So funny.
David Blaine do that trick, and I was like, magic is real. Like, I've seen that trick on TV, and I'm like, well, that's it.
Fine. Like, we'll just say, for the sake of whatever, the magic is not real. But have you ever, like, had a moment where you were like, there's no reasonable explanation for this illusion?
I have, but then when I realized that they do a lot of audience plants, that's when I was like, oh, this is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's the Stooges thing, right? The like audience plants and stuff. It kind of like ruins a lot of that fun for me. I still don't really get the behind the window thing. Like, that thing still blows my mind. Or the like the hovering thing I never really got.
Right. I mean, back to what I was saying about my friend showing me how he did stuff and me still not getting it. There's a Penn and Teller bit where they talk about how to do a trick, and they do it on stage, and they talk about misdirection, and they talk about all these things, and how do you palm and all that. And you're watching it, you go, man, they're giving away the goat. But then you realize they're just describing it as it's happening, but you don't actually know how it's working.
Yeah, they're just saying, we're going to do this illusion now, and this part is where
so
where
it's
we
like
trick you.
the magic is like, even as they're explaining it, they're reinforcing how magical it is.
Yes.
And I remember watching that and being like, fuck, like, I know magic's not real, but that's fucking like, that's like a masterpiece where you could like pull back the curtain and then still make me think it's magic.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I always love that. And the Penn and Teller have that full Penn and Teller show or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they like, people come up and they have to see if they can guess what the trick is.
Yeah.
I always really like that. But yeah, so they're now here to basically investigate the situation, and they walk by Judd. This scene actually was filmed in the unofficial wedding district in New West Vancouver. New West was historically the major primary city before like Vancouver became sort of downtown Vancouver. And there are lots of legacy buildings that are like fancy, romantic looking buildings within that area. Rent used to be really cheap, and wedding related storefronts congregated in that neighborhood. But the boys show up, and Dean gives his name as Federal Agent Ulrich, which is Lars Ulrich from the drummer of Metallica. Sam reveals a knowledge of the world of magicians, though, because he gained during a magic phase when he was 13,
which is cute.
It's really cute when MK, these kids basically grew up in the like knowing magic is real, knowing monsters are real and stuff like that. Because like the general public, it's as if like that all the supernatural stuff existed in this world, because generally people think it's fake or don't believe it's real. But there are like a contingent of people who like know that it's real, are either like wielders of magic, are monsters themselves, or they hunt them. So these kids grew up like knowing magic is real, were hunters of monsters, and yet he still wanted to be a fake magician when he was 13.
But I mean, to Sam's point, it's a skill, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe less about the magic, but it's
for sure. I just think it's I just picture like Sam like in the costume and like trying to do with like a little wand and stuff.
I will say there's a part of me, I think I said it on the show before, where like sometimes I think I should learn like one outdoor skill. Like I should learn
like hiking or
like
biking.
how to make a fire without like a lighter. Like I should learn like one
survival skill.
There's a part of me that also feels like I should learn one sleight of hand skill, where it's like, I don't know, like I just need to pickpocket or my life depends on it. I should learn how to palm something, or like sometimes I think about that.
I feel like I need to learn a trade like plumbing or like how to be like an electrician or something. I'm like,
that's a big
it's
one.
Not a competition, but
I think I need to learn how to be a good person.
Yeah. No.
It's so fucking ridiculous.
No,
like,
learn bricklaying.
Learn flooring.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I know how to lay some pipe. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I did actually. There is a carpentry course at our local university college here that I've been interested in taking. They also have an electrician's course. It is like, as a homeowner, it would be a nice thing to like know some of that stuff, because like when anything like goes wrong in my house, I'm like, I don't know, I need to call somebody. Like I have no idea how anything works. But I think the sleight of hand thing, like even just to be able to do a card trick, my wife talks about it a lot. lot, which is just like she doesn't have like she doesn't have like party tricks, right?
Sure.
Like I can go to a place and like maybe if there's a piano, I can fuck around on the piano or something like that. But like to have like a thing where there's like a group of people around and it's like, okay, the conversation's getting stale. Like I can do a thing that will make everybody excited. Because like you don't want to be there and be like, oh, tell a joke. Like, just like I'm not gonna fucking do that at a party.
I don't know, do people want their like somebody give us their best Adele solo? Like I don't know. I don't know if that's like the move either.
No, right? But like I think a card trick to be able to like, oh, you have a deck of cards here. Check this out.
I think it would be fun to get a real impractical magic skill to have as like a party thing where it's like strap yourself to that giant roulette wheel, get me a bunch of knives, and you just whip knives at someone.
Yeah, I brought a gun with a single bullet. Who wants to get into some Russian roulette?
It's a trick. Don't worry. I just need a coffin. Does anybody have a coffin?
You wheel out the table of death. You're like, all right, I need you to check that these bonds are secure.
Though I did have a friend who, when I was like 19, we had like a friend who was like not really close to any of us in the group because he was kind of weird, but he had like a trunk full of like boxing gloves and like foam swords. And when we would all get drunk, he'd be like, "Do you want to bring it out?" And we just beat the shit out of each other.
That's cool as hell.
It was an awesome thing. But I remember this little guy who was probably like 5'7" and he weighed like 130 pounds. And he came up to me with this like foam sword and I had a boxing glove on. And I'm not a big guy, but I'm like 6 foot tall. And so he comes up to me and I'm like, man, I don't think we should do this. And he's just like, come at me. And he was wasted. And I was like, all right. And I just like socked him in the face and he gotten fully knocked out.
Well, yeah, I mean, boxing gloves don't make the hit not happen. Like they're not balloons. Like
God, I haven't thought about that moment in a long time. I'm gonna text that guy. He can't really text anymore or speak, but so Sam and Dean start investigating what happened here. They're actually talking to Patrick Vance's assistant, who's sort of like packing things up after
like, I guess I'm going home.
Yeah, can't really assist someone who's dead. They find that he did have a tarot card on him, the 10 of Swords, when he died. And as the assistant's sort of like packing up, they pull out a white cloth off the ground and they find like a missing rabbit. They're like, oh, that's where you were, which I thought was kind of cute.
Well, yeah, and she's like pulling the like never-ending handkerchief out of the
great
bag
joke.
while they're talking to her.
That's a great joke.
I do that, but it's just a CVS receipt. CVS receipt humor. It's the MK Paulsen tour.
Oh, that's a good one. There's magic too. Whoa. We had the dry cleaner. We stopped by the CVS.
I think I did do that when I was doing the Christian Magician at one point, where I was like, I got a CVS receipt. I kept pulling it out of my jacket. It's like, when's it going to end?
Oh, there's a promo this week.
$2 off hand sanitizer.
So the missing rabbit is actually an Angora rabbit, which became a popular pet of the French royalty in the mid 18th century.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, they're extra like furry and stuff. They're kind of cute.
Are they the floppy ones? There's one breed that's like real floppy.
They're really floppy, and they're
there's
extra
Angora
hairy.
wool too, right? Like they make it from those rabbits. Unless I'm fully making that up. I'm not going to bother to check. I don't have the internet.
Yeah, we're on the internet. We don't have access to it.
Wool is made of rabbits.
Yeah.
We are the internet.
You're the rabbit truther?
I'm a wool truther.
Yeah.
You think it's been sheep this whole time? You absolute rabbits.
You can't shear wool at 110 degrees. So when they see Jay showing Charlie that he suddenly is able to do the tricks that he never has been able before. We sort of like, after this whole like death-defying thing, Charlie, who is Jay's assistant and his like old buddy, he's basically like this is so weird. Like,
he's like, are you going to tell me how you did this?
Yeah, and he's like, no. He's like, I have no idea how. And what's weirder is that now I can do this like crazy card trick now.
And, yeah, so Jay is like not only like because when we first see him when he's at the bar and he's getting heckled, he's there's a little bit of shaking. He kind of like fucks up the shuffle and shit like that. And now he's like doing all this like fucking deck manipulation. He pulls out three aces and he's like, check your pocket. The fourth ace is in there. And you're like, they've never touched each other. It's like,
now check your butt.
He's like, oh my God, it's a CVS receipt. It's like,
$2 off hand sanitizer.
That's a deal.
Yeah, he's like So not only is he like literally better at all of the prestidigitation, he's also like confident, and he's like, do you know what? Fuck it, I won't kill myself. Or
Yeah. God,
I was confused about this part. So he's doing magic, but he doesn't know he's doing actual magic?
Or he,
kind of.
Yeah, I think he doesn't fully know how he got out. He just knows that it happened. And now that he's like just doing stuff, I think he's convinced himself, I got my groove back. Yeah, I must have done it on purpose. God, yeah, it's in there the whole time. I've unlocked my second wind.
And his buddy Charlie is kind of going like, yeah, I mean, this is awesome. Like he's sort of going like, yeah, go with it. Like,
but he's going even further. He's like, well, the sword table didn't kill me. I'm going to do the executioner. And Charlie's like, Houdini wouldn't do it. And he's like, exactly. That's why I'm going to do it here in fucking Sioux City.
Yeah,
I want to die. He screams.
Yeah, basically,
he's like, it's just a rope slip.
Yeah. Please don't. If I start hearing you saying you want to do the executioner, I'm going to be really concerned. Mostly because you're not a magician.
I've never done magic.
Yeah. But it makes sense to me for you to try to do that. Dean questions Charlie and Vernon now. So Vernon is the third.
Hang on, sorry.
guy.
I have a question. I don't know if anybody else like picked this out, but like these guys are old, right?
Yeah.
Like they were big in the 70s,
Yeah.
we learn. Like, and then, you know, the spotlight has moved on from them and they're kind of decrepit, right?
Totally.
That's the whole point. And then out of nowhere, Jay is like, I don't know. Tonight I'm going to do the table of death. Where did they get a table of death?
That was something I was.
And then same with the executioners. Like, where did he get fucking gallows? What, like, out of nowhere?
I mean, you can get rope.
But like there's a trap door, there's these things are like mechanical magic. They are mechanisms. This is the stuff that this like Houdin guy was like bringing to magic. You don't just go like, I need a gallows.
It's a magic convention. Maybe there's like a booth that has.
Yeah, I mean maybe that it's as simple as that, but I was watching and I was like, wait a minute.
I thought that too.
I just have an opinion about that.
You're like, wait, what's a supernatural?
I'll go with the story here. I don't know.
So,
was I being too picky?
No. I think I was kind of high when I watched it, and now I'm like,
yeah, that's right. Pain meds
in this plot line.
Sure.
So Dean now questions Charlie, Jay's assistant, and their buddy Vernon, who's like also a magician, but kind of doesn't do it and sort of just like hangs out with them, it sounds like. But
Vernon used to be, because I think Dean says like, I hear you used to use tarot cards in your act, and he's like, act, I haven't done anything since Reagan was, or whatever.
Yeah. He hangs out with them though. Yeah. He's sort of their buddy. And they send Dean off to go speak with someone called the Chief, that they once saw like cross Patrick. So they send
them, they say like, say this password at this door, and then say you need the chief, and Dean gets brought in, and it's just like it's like a BDSM.
Yeah, I don't love this bit because it feels partly homophobic, partly kink shamey. Like I don't like the punchline is like this like leather daddy's gonna give you gay sex. Like I don't love that joke.
Sure. Yeah.
It also seems very like in depth. Like I feel like someone had to make some phone calls.
Or someone knew.
Yeah. Like I'm chief, and I feel like, you know, if you're a BDSM like lord, you don't just do this to strangers that like walk up to your place, right?
Yeah, there's like setup.
There's a calendar.
Somebody'd have to call and be like, hey, I got this guy coming. We're trying to play a joke on him. Can you be a little extra homophobic?
Yeah. Really lay it on.
Dean is like, I think I've been had. And he's like, you haven't been had till you've been had by the chief. By the way, what's your safe word?
Which I mean,
in a way, I was like, I was like, this whole bit is bad.
Yeah.
But I was like, I kind of like that they at least put in some consent kind of thing, that it's not just like well, you're here, so let's go to Pound Town.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird, there's no reason for it to be there.
It definitely does not need to be in there. Yeah. And for me, it just feels like a cheap laugh on like, well, he doesn't like guys, so
there's no... Yeah, there's so many different versions of them like sending him on a wild goose chase that didn't have to be that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. They tell him to go to Bleecker Street, which in Marvel Comics, Bleecker Street was the same street Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum is on,
Yeah.
which is a fun sort of extra sort of magician.
So you could call
piece.
this the Sphincter Sanctorum. I'm sorry. I'm really
Are
sorry.
you proud of yourself?
No.
You shouldn't be.
I am. That was great.
Well, there you go. We then cut to Sam doing research at the hotel when Ruby arrives. It's ironic because when Sam asks if Ruby has something against magic, considering that she was previously revealed to be a witch, which she sort of leans towards, but we don't ever actually get that context within this. So you have to know that, I think, to get that bit. But she accuses Sam of wasting time while the 66 seals are broken. So, MK, currently, they're trying to release Lucifer. The demons from hell are trying to release Lucifer because he's actually in a cage in hell right now. And if they break the 66 seals, which are basically just like
Different magical events.
Yeah,
you
like-
raise a certain demon at a certain time.
Yeah, like kill somebody in a certain way. Like it's just basically a bunch of different actions that are potentially having like religious connotations in some cases. But basically, once the 66 seals are broken, Satan will be revealed and get out of his cage. So she tells him that the angels are losing the battle. 34 of the seals have been broken currently. Sam says that he doesn't know where the seals even are or how to stop them from being broken. So like, how
Don't you hate it when you have like a bunch of drinks and then you break 34 seals?
Boo.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. We'll go back to Sphincter Sanctorum.
Yeah, you know when you finally go to the bathroom, you've been holding it in after drinking, and you've really broken the seal, and Lucifer gets out, if you know what I mean. I know.
I mean, I've had some peas that you'd think Satan was coming.
Yeah, especially if you ate some hot food. Like,
It's a weird thing to say, but yeah, sure, why not?
Wait, is that a
no,
real
we'll find
thing?
this joke.
Is that a real thing when you eat hot food? I've
Hot
never
pee?
had like spicy pee.
Really?
I've had hot shits, but never.
You haven't hot
hot pee.
enough food then.
I guess.
I had hot pee after we did the hot ones challenge.
Oh, I don't get that even with like spicy food. Is that a real thing though?
Yes.
Oh,
Could have been that I had sex with all of those like dirty and loose
Jalapenos?
peoples. Yeah. But yeah, but we ended up here somehow. Ruby counters that he needs to go after the source of the problem, Lilith. Sam refuses and Ruby leaves. Sam and Dean return now to the theater, and Dean threatens both Charlie and Vernon that they withhold their rights to charge them for the obstruction of justice.
yeah, and they're like, "Son, we've been conning people since the '70s.
We're fucking magicians.
It takes more than a fake badge." I kind of like that because
Yeah.
Sam and Dean have gotten better as the show has gone on. Like we're watching them get better at impersonating law enforcement, but I do like the idea that like they're still effectively amateurs.
Yeah, compare like for someone who's been doing it for like 30 years,
Yeah.
like they're gonna not be as good at con artists as like magicians are, which is like their kind of whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear that, magicians? You're all con artists.
Get a real job.
Get a real job, like a comedian.
Yeah.
Or a podcaster.
Yeah. Real work.
Art.
We're heroes. We're first responders, theoretically.
Wasn't that kind of a thing
Yes.
in California?
Yes.
Did podcasters get lumped in with like essential workers?
Yes.
Is that true? I don't.
Yeah.
It was
You
at some
technically had
point last
access.
year, yeah.
You had access to the vaccine before a lot of other people.
Yeah, it was weird.
Seems like that was a policy mistake.
Yeah, MK's actually like, I'm an anti-vaxxer. I never.
I don't believe in that. I do believe in it. I vaxxed and boosted,
Yeah,
and I've still had COVID 84 times. It feels
Oh,
like.
God.
that feels more like life decision problems with you than anything else.
Yeah, something's going on.
Maybe the 900 person sex orgies you were having.
Well, I did get Delta after I went to San Diego Pride. And for those
Oh.
listening, I am a gay comedian, believe it or not. Yeah, it was that point in the summer where everybody's like, "Yeah, we can party again." And I went to San Diego Pride and danced shirtless with like 1,000 men, and immediately got COVID. And scientists
was
are
it worth
still stumped how it happened. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get some dogs on that scent, see if we can figure it out. Gonna see if we can sniff it out.
I think that's how you got COVID,
the first time, yeah.
from sniffing it out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that,
Finally, a sphincter conversation we can all appreciate.
the sphincter sphinctorum.
Sphincter sphinctorum. If this episode isn't called the sphincter sphinctor, I don't even. What's the second word you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know,
Probably
but
not. You probably don't want to put sphincter. It'll go down in the.
Right.
no, I like to be in a little tease that they'll find out.
I'll never tell.
Yeah. So that night, Jay attempts another death-defying act, the executioner, which involves escaping from a straitjacket before being hung by a noose.
Yeah.
As Jay struggles to escape, we see a noose come to life at Jeb Dexter's apartment or hotel room, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a boa constrictor. It's like it's kind of like the special effects on this were a little.
It's funny you bring that up. I mean, there's lots of effects in Supernatural for different purposes.
Yeah.
But this is the first time in this rewatch we're doing for the show where I was like, this is like animated.
Yes.
You know, like often the special effect is like, and then there's fire or there's a little extra smoke or someone's eyes go black. It's like relatively subtle.
Yeah.
For the most part.
This is not
the
subtle.
first time it was like we have like we shot the keyframes and we have like
the rope
animated in a rope.
The rope like sneaks in like through a window.
Yeah.
It's just like
I'm a bad rope. I'm gonna get up there on the ceiling fan.
Trust
I really in my head I was like the guy should have just like had a broken neck. Like I don't know if I needed to like have the noose go around.
Well, yeah, because with
the other
with
death,
Vance, like
the other death,
10 knives,
wasn't like
10 knives didn't stalk him in an alley and stab him.
Yeah, it wasn't like this contraption was like built right behind him as he's walking down the street.
Yeah,
just a sassy little noose.
I'm a bad rope, y'all.
Also, just the rope was in the room.
I'm being silly.
It was like a real grim, like Sorcerer's Apprentice situation where like Mickey is like accidentally brings the noose to life.
I'm going to speak parcel tongue to that news.
It's also weird that the noose took his pants down and put his hand around his dick.
That's the way to go out. If you ask me.
Look, if you're going to have to go. The way I lived.
I have a joke that I'm working on where it's that autoerotic asphyxiation is a thing nobody knows about you until it's the only thing they know about you.
Yeah.
That's a very so as the noose tightens on stage, Jay is freed, but not so much for Jeb.
Yeah. Like hung from the ceiling fan, and like the noose wraps itself around the fan in such a way that the fan itself pulls him higher off the ground.
It's pretty intense.
Which also, like, God, the torque on that fan.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I think I need to get that van for reasons. So,
what if that was the reason you bought it? I'm like, I'm really looking for a sturdy fan.
Yeah. Don't worry.
What's the torque on this thing?
Yeah. Sir, are you okay? Sure.
Is there like levels of torque? Like, can it like be just like almost death?
Yeah.
Close.
I need a ceiling fan that can only be bolted into like an I-beam.
That's a weird thing, sir. I don't think fans need to do that. They're just spinning it. Don't worry about
This
it.
one needs to.
Can it hold like 200 pounds?
Oh God, I wish.
So. Can this van hold 240?
Yeah, is that good?
I also wish. I don't like this conversation anymore.
But Sam is Sam and Dean are at that magic show watching them do the executioner, and Sam looks on in horror and kind of suspicion when he sees Jay get hung and then suddenly appears.
Because again,
totally
like
fine.
the previous one, the silhouette is like he fully hangs,
Yes.
and then he comes out from the silhouette. So,
Totally.
like, something is like Sam is like that's not how this trick works. That's not possible.
Yeah. So the next day, Sam and Dean confer, postulating that Jay is using black magic to regain his old glory. Because they're just like, this is the only way it makes sense.
Because Dean says he pulls some some sleight of hand himself, because he finds another tarot card of like the Hangman or whatever on Jeb.
Yeah, so they definitely are realizing that like there's this tarot card thing is happening. They must be sort of using magic here. Dean says
it's kind of like a hex bag. Like the tarot card is like directing whatever the bad magic is.
Totally.
Or something. Yeah.
Dean says, "I hope I die before I get old." This is a line from the Who's popular 1965 single "My Generation," which is why they sort of say it in that very like this is a quote way.
Right.
Sam asks Dean if he thinks they will grow old, and Dean says that their life ends bloody or sad.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this conversation because
I know,
but
it's very interesting.
I felt feelings.
It's very interesting. Yeah. The conversation leads into like 15 seasons from now.
Yeah.
Sam asks if Dean wouldn't want to do something if they could end the demon war, because they're like, hey, what if we could like actually live a life? What if we could just end all of this? Dean is suspicious that Sam isn't telling him everything, but Sam denies it.
I mean, Dean is right. I love this when Sam Sam is like, so what if there was like a bad thing, but it made a good thing happen? Hypothetically.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of anything. How dare you? My honor can't be impugned. But let's say theoretically, I do a bad thing for a good thing. Theoretically. How would you hypothetically react to that?
Hypothetically.
As a thought exercise. He's like so not subtle about it.
No.
He's like, what aren't you telling me? He's like, nothing.
How dare you? How dare you?
It's very funny. Huh? How many times have these brothers been through this where they're just like, but what if?
Yes.
It's like that. It should be an immediate clue. It's like, you talked to a demon again, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like,
so they then confront Jay. Basically, they go to Jay's like hotel room and they're like, okay, clearly this is you. Like we know what you did.
Guns on him.
Yeah, they come in real aggressive.
And I like it because like Jay has been getting this like increased confidence, like, almost that kind of like power drunk thing that you would expect from someone using magic. And then as soon as they pull guns on him, he's like back to like scared old man. And both of them are like, something's not right here.
It feels
I think
bad.
he might just be a scared old man.
He like is doing some great acting in this.
Yeah, Barry Bostwick, he's good. He's a good actor.
Like he welling up with tears and stuff. Like I was really impressed with this scene.
I made you look it up because I couldn't remember. But in addition to being Brad Majors in Rocky Horror, he's the mayor on Spin City.
That's right. The philandering mayor. I loved his acting in this moment. It was really good.
He's great. Yeah.
Completely bewildered. So they tie him up because they're like,
that'll fix it.
Yeah, rope play. Magician.
Like he can't get out of a rope.
I know. Yeah, that was a really stupid thing.
It's not even around his neck. And he got out of that.
Yeah. So while discussing the next steps, Jay slips out of the ropes, obviously.
Of course.
So they go to search for him and end up at the lobby of the hotel, and the police show up and arrest them.
Yeah.
They don't really follow up on what happens with the police.
No, like, yeah, because in other seasons, like that should immediately flag something else. Like these guys don't exist. They've been declared dead like 3 times.
Yes.
Like what's happening? The feds should be on their way.
Totally.
Or something. But in this one, it's like, I guess because Jay eventually drops the charges, I guess it happens early enough that they get out before
they have to slip
through the
out
system or
something,
whatever.
Yeah. Jay admits then to Charlie that he actually doesn't know how he's performing these feats, and that he intended actually to kill himself the day of the table of death.
Yeah, it's like a pretty real moment here between Jay and Charlie where he's like, I'm washed up and everything, and I was going to kill myself, and now I'm good at magic, and I'm not sure how. Is it possible that those psychos were right? And it's
Charlie's
real
like,
magic?
shut up! You keep doing magic. You're at the top of your game again.
Yeah.
He also wonders if he should stop, and Charlie's basically like, no, like you're on top again, but let's keep it up.
Yeah. If it costs 1,000 bodies.
What? That night, Jay then performs the table of death again.
Yeah.
He succeeds again.
There's only 2 deadly tricks. And
yes.
the execution of the table of death.
Or back to my previous point, there's only 2 that are at this conference.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They were like, I really wanted to do another one, but nobody brought it.
Yeah.
So.
It's weird that they brought the like one trick that no one does.
Yeah.
And the other one that kills people.
Yeah.
We have a copy of this one Houdini wouldn't do.
Yeah.
I like that
Throw it out for some amateurs.
every conference they bring this one. It's like, hey, who wants to kill themselves this year?
Yeah.
They're like, executioner.
I dare you. It's just a noose. Like they're just like, you want to try this out?
Yeah. We think Jeb may have been trying to do the executioner in his dressing room.
He was practicing the magic trick. I'm gonna leave a note on me all the time just in case I get found.
It's
that
a
way.
magic trick.
Yeah. That was a joke that I had for a long time, which is just like I wanted to like have a very like a suicide note on me all the time, no matter how I died. It seemed like it was on purpose.
Yeah, or one where it's just like I'm going out to get struck by lightning, and you just keep one day maybe
If it happens,
Yeah.
people are gonna be fucking
It looks
their mind's gonna
insane,
be
yeah.
blown. But
Yeah, there's only 2 deadly tricks. I really like that.
as they end the trick, we then hear a scream in the back. They go back and his buddy Charlie is dead.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Jay has the boys released from jail and basically just goes like, hey, sorry. Apparently magic is real.
And I am its conduit.
Yeah. I need your help. They tell Jay that the perpetrator is likely somebody probably close to him.
They're like, Vernon. He's like, Vernon wouldn't do.
Vernon
shit.
doesn't hate Charlie. Like we're all really friends. But that night they go to Vernon's room to search for clues. They find an old poster of young Charlie as a magician called the Great Desertini.
Desertini. Yeah. Everyone loves dessert
And a martini.
and a martini.
You put them together.
Desertini.
That's right, baby. This drink is so good. Is it magic?
Yeah. Is it Desertini just like a trifle in a martini glass then?
I mean, I don't hate that.
Hmm.
This 240 is going up to 245 today.
Yeah. There goes the diet.
So on stage, Jay confronts Vernon, who denies any knowledge of what is happening. But then a young man arrives. It's Charlie.
Yeah, and we know because they have the same like birthmark.
But he's
thing.
super young again. Like he's like,
I mean, he's youngish. I don't know. This immortality thing, I think, is wearing off. He only goes down to being like 20.
you wish it was like a toddler in like adult clothes.
I
Like
kind of do.
It's like a baby dressed as a sailor with a huge lollipop.
Or that it's like, yeah. Or that it's like, it takes like,
That's what you want to pop in there.
I want it to
Like,
be
this
that
is some eternal shit, right?
yeah. I want it to be that it takes like 20 minutes to get him to like age 25 or something like that. So he comes in as like a
it's
toddler.
the
and as
magic
the-
ship while we pop.
I want it to be like as the scene goes on, he like grows and like gets older. Like a toddler walks in, and by the end, he's like a weird 14-year-old. Or like,
I'm still your friend. Remember when we fucked those people in the back of the magic shop?
the magic Soko.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So, Josh Rubenstein, who plays Charlie in this episode, is the father of Michael Weston, who actually plays the younger version of Charlie in this episode.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah. He's actually a big actor, Michael Weston, who would later then go on to star on the up-and-coming magician Harry Houdini and Doyle from 2016. In that show, Houdini is a skeptic and investigates strange cases with his believed partner, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Sorry, they made like kind of like X-Files show, but it's Harry Houdini and Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, 2016. Probably only one season.
That sounds...
It does sound cool.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
That's
just such like a weird premise. That feels like Bubba Hotep to me. It's just like a weird thing.
This is Evil Dead? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So young Charlie tells his friends that he's been around a long time, so long enough to even shill for Barnum. He's referring to
not that long.
but he's
Years. It's not like
sure.
1,000-year-old demon.
Yeah, he's basically like 200 years old because he's referring to P.T. Barnum, an entertainer active in the mid 1800s.
Yeah.
That makes him.
Oh, was he mid 1800s? I thought it was early 1900s.
No, yeah. I mean, that's probably.
I would have thought it was later too, actually.
But
Yeah.
P.T. Barnum was also like the P.T. Barnum's like
Right.
circus and stuff like the.
So is this guy in The Greatest Showman?
Yeah, I was
Oh
going to
my
say,
God.
is there a Greatest Showman reference here?
It's magic. It's premonition of
Yeah.
the future thing.
One day there'll be a very polarizing musical about this.
Yeah, but TikTok's gonna love it.
I'm not going to lie, I love The Greatest Showman. Did y'all like The Greatest Showman?
You don't like musicals.
I mean, most.
Yes.
I think most musicals are hot.
If it's not
garbage.
Hamilton, it's
but that's
trash.
but that's only because most musicals are hot garbage. The
Yeah.
good musicals are great.
Yes,
Well,
sure.
like, I feel like the year before, like, I think it would have had more critical praise if it hadn't La La Land the year before, like, really
Yeah. I
set a
think
standard for musicals, and then this one was a year later. That,
Sure.
yeah. I think Greatest Showman's maybe just a little too like Broadway for me, but like I don't hate it. I don't think it's like bad. You know what I mean? Like
Kids love it.
yeah.
Kids
yeah.
love it. It was like kind of weirdly off the radar too. I think it just didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved
Was
it
it-
though.
Wasn't like Zac Efron in that too? Or
Yeah.
Zac Efron, Zendaya.
Yeah.
good God, was that like around when he did Baywatch? Like super hot
It's
Zac
ju-
Efron.
just after, but yeah, like right before he was like,
Yeah.
screw this. I hate having to be like this.
I
for
don't want this
movies.
body
I'm
anymore.
eating pasta again.
Yeah, and growing a fucking beard and still looking hot. Fuck him.
Yeah, I know.
You watch that fucking Netflix series he does?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
did.
He
I
looks
did.
great.
He looks
Um,
great. And his bro is so hot too, and they're just bros.
Yeah, how are they both that hot and
They're both
capable?
But he's also like his friend's kind of like a daddy, and I'm like, there's some. All right, I gotta watch. I am a little too turned on. He's like, yeah,
Oh.
this is my buddy. He's a surfer, but also like a spiritual guru. Or I don't even know their relation. Anyway, this is a
But you can imagine
podcast
it.
about Zac Efron's nature show.
Look, the fans would love it.
The fans would love it.
So we find out that P.T. Barnum gave him a powerful grimoire that contained a spell for immortality.
Kind of feels like Barnum wasn't really using that grimoire. Like, I'll use it to like put tents up quickly. Like, why just give that? It's real magic. Be better, Barnum.
Yeah.
Efron helped me put my tank up quickly.
Jesus Christ. Good God.
And the basically the enchanted pack of tarot cards is from that as well.
Yeah, and so yeah, Charlie says he tried like one random spell. It worked, so that he tried to do more and
And then
more.
he finds an immortality at
By
the back
the
of
end,
the
he
book.
learns
Yeah.
immortality, and he kind of like he goes to Jay and Vernon, and he says like, "You guys, I want to offer this to you. I've never offered this to someone, but like we're actual friends.
Yeah.
We spent like decades together." And just think of like all the fun times we could have, just the three of us, bachelorinos forever. And it's like, I don't know that I
Except
really
the guy
think
who
about
was
it.
gonna kill himself 2 days earlier because he was so sad. In public, on display at a show.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. You're my best friend. I don't know that I just want us to like chum around forever.
What?
Sorry. I wish you didn't have to find out like this.
I need to put away a book then.
Yeah, I need to give a book back to P.T. Barnum.
Come on, just a couple of bachelors for the rest of our lives.
It's such like a I kind of like, who knows what immortality would actually do to you, especially his kind of immortality where it seems to be like you cycle back in life or whatever. Who knows what that would do to you like psychologically, but it does feel like a very immature idea of like, just think of it, we'll just be partying and like cool,
Banging
forever.
20-year-olds for the rest of our lives.
Something is weird about it, that it's not like you feel like the bigger thing would be just like unlimited power or something. And he's like, no, imagine that we could just keep performing stage magic for hundreds of years.
Changing our names like constantly.
Yeah, something is so weird about it. Me and my two friends, and we'll never find love, and we'll never have families.
Yeah, but we have each other. And that's all that matters. The backs of magic shops and our buddies forever.
There's something very kind of odd about it to me.
Yeah, I don't love that. That is a very funny.
I don't
yeah.
think it's problematic or anything. It's just like a weird, like, this is my offer to you.
That's his heaven, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's cool that they're good friends, but
Here's a weird thing too, which is like maybe it's just me for getting old, but like I know that like society loves to be like younger people are hot, right? And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like I'm looking up MILF porn because it's the only thing
But
that
also,
like is the same age as me.
Even if you made my body 21 again,
I wouldn't want to be
if my
with somebody
mind
that-
isn't, then what's the like? I can't hang around with a bunch of 21-year-olds and be like, no, you're gonna hurt yourself. No, don't. Sort of like
Where's your parents?
Yeah, you'd be like, you realize how irresponsible this is? You're throwing away your education. I can't like, you can't just like undo that.
No.
You know?
MK is just like, I could and I will.
I was
What would you do with immortality, MK?
Oh, I don't. What would I do? I mean, I feel like I'd be like a vampire Lestat or something. Kind
Right.
of,
Ooh.
it's like a moving. I don't know, but kind of like not necessarily evil, but just kind of moving through time. Like
Yeah.
Luring men from the shadows.
because you also wouldn't want to fall in love, would you? Because that would mean you would have to like lose your love.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
you kind of like watch, but I don't know. Can you do that forever? Probably not.
No.
Wow,
again,
we're really getting down to the deep stuff.
It's especially this like cyclical thing. Like it's not like we'll stay whatever, even just like we'll be 50 forever and we'll just keep living or something.
Yeah.
It's like we have to keep resetting and like keep like making no connections other than each other.
Well, you know what's
Right.
interesting
It's
is
weird.
I was just reading a thing the other day. It's like Science Journal. It was talking about like the reality of like people in the next few decades are definitely going to be able to live longer.
Sure.
And most likely, but what it's going to do is just extend your 80s for a lot longer. So you'll live to 160, but it'll be at sort of like when you're 80.
Right. It's not that you're going to. Oh, yeah. I mean, although you watch like TV shows, I mean, part of it's just the representation, but you watch TV shows and like old woman would show up with a cane and she'd be like, I'm 60. And like 60 is
Sure.
clearly younger than that now.
But 80?
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not, they're not like, you're not gaining like
Youth.
your sexual prime
Yeah.
time. You're just gaining more.
Because most
time
likely
at
what
the
they'll be able to
end.
do is
Yeah.
as things are failing, they'll be able to replace or fix them or
Right.
things like that. But they're not going to be able to like constantly being like, ooh, this is a day older. Like I'm going to keep like you can't stay
Yeah.
the same age. What you could do is just like keep fixing things as they get like non-functional.
like the Vidians in Voyager.
Oh, those guys, they'll harvest whatever it takes. I need a liver. You got to lead on a liver. What about I wasn't there a period a few years ago where like the hot news topic, these kind of like this like poppy science topic was like people they're going to stop aging. They're trying to like stop aging.
Yeah,
And-
that's sort of where this is, but I think the science has now gotten to the point where they're like not going to be able. They'll be able to like prevent like non-functioning, but they can't stop you from continuing to age. Now maybe that's going to change at some point, and they'll actually be able to stop aging. But for the most part, it's the more practical thing I think that like makes sense for me from a scientific standpoint is just replace
Didn't
the
you
things that
send
don't
me
work.
some sort of like
Yeah, the rats.
some sort of headline that was like they just made rats immortal, and
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
I think the theory has to do. Why am I remembering this? But doesn't the theory have to do with like essentially the aging process is just like when your cells replicate, they have
Yeah.
like, when they have like inconsistencies or those added
Mhm.
up over time is what causes aging.
Right.
So
Totally.
if they could just prevent that from happening, they could prevent aging, which theoretically could make somebody immortal. And I
Yeah.
think they were hoping something with stem cells would be able to allow people to have those.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. I'm
Last
not a scientist.
last thought.
Honk, honk. I'm honking my bed as I'm laying in bed.
last thought exercise here. Which is the worst dystopia? Humans gain immortality or the machines take over? Which is the worst version of a future civilization?
Oh,
for
humans.
us?
Humans are always the worst monster.
Right.
Yeah. Robots are smart enough to know better than us.
You don't think being immortal would make us sort of like slow down our pace and become sort of like ageless wise people like elves or something? We're just kind of like aloof and distant.
No, because
like
elves are a
Vulcans
different
elves.
species. Humans are the worst.
Sure, yeah. You don't think it's a function of their immortality? It's just
No, I don't think so. I
Oh,
think
okay.
humans are the worst. Though I did when I read that article about the rats, I did do it a bit on stage where I was like, there's a third reality that people aren't talking about, which is that rats suddenly live long enough that they get human intelligence. we're getting Ninja Turtles one way or another, baby.
Oh yeah, Ninja Rat.
So
Yeah, where were we?
So, they offer eternal life to Vernon and Jay, although it means that Sam and Dean will have to die. However, Jay pickpockets Charlie's deck of cards, leaving one, the magician, with Charlie. He then stabs himself, killing Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie is killing Sam and Dean.
Yeah.
Sam ends up on the table of death. Dean ends up with a noose around his neck. The only two deadly tricks there are.
Like the promo for the return of the show this season.
Oh, there we go. That's right.
Yeah.
Jay stabs himself, but it only kills and stabs Charlie because he
stab in the stomach. It seems like if you could stab yourself anywhere, like why wouldn't you go for like the heart?
And if it's not going to hurt you,
be
like he could recover.
Yeah, like do it to your head.
Unless it's really cruel, he's just like, I want you to get sepsis. So
yeah.
I'm just gonna...
You stabbed yourself through the eye, like something really brutal. You're like, for sure, kill the guy. Like,
sure. It's more dramatic, though.
Yes, sure.
And very
I
sad.
feel like there's an anatomical thing. Like, right? You really think you could stab your eye? Like,
definitely not. Definitely not.
Your eye, but
no,
like,
even if it was one of those like retractable knives, I couldn't do it.
And if you're Jay, you got to be like, what if this doesn't work the way I think it does?
Very true. You have to be real confident in that magic to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it right through my...
Oh, Jesus.
I do love that he has a soliloquy at the end. It's like, they were my friends, and now and now I have to live without them. But he was going to kill himself 2 days ago. So
he's probably going to kill himself now, right? Like, they're not talking about it.
I mean, that's okay.
Because he says
he's
in a worse place than he was when he started.
Yes.
Because when Sam and Dean come and say, like, just say thank you, he goes, I killed my best friend. You're saying thank you. Vernon won't talk to me because of what I did to Charlie, and also because he really wanted to fucking live forever, and I took that from him. And he's like, and now I'm shitty at magic again. Look at this fucking card trick I can't do. And yeah, I mean, you basically are acknowledging that Sam and Dean have slowly and sadly killed this man.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna go kill himself.
Yes.
He's right back where he was.
Yeah, he didn't learn a lesson in this whole thing.
He had 3 days of audiences loving him again.
If anything, that's worse. Yeah, because now he got to see all of the thing that he's been bemoaning about. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, it's a very melancholic end to the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, which they don't normally go this, like, sort of melancholy, at the end.
At least not with, like, the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's melancholy for them sometimes,
Always.
where it's like, this ended, but what did we learn about ourselves? But this one, it's like who? Like, should we have just gotten out of the way?
Yeah. Well, no, because they couldn't let him keep
because
killing
he was killing people. But yeah, I don't know. Something's real sad about it.
Yeah, it is really sad, which I think is part of the thing. Like, I'm glad they at least gave him that moment. Also, you've got fucking Barry Bostwick. You're going to let him.
Yeah, I mean, he's acting the shit out of this episode.
Yeah.
I wanted to know why he didn't why did he not get younger after the first murder? Like, why did he have to keep murdering?
Well, because I think not all of them are for, like, not everything is that spell.
Yes, yeah. They all seem to need a sacrifice, but
like, it's just that, like,
magic is about balance, and so you probably just need to.
The way I read it is that he's just trading lives.
Yes.
Jay was going to die, and he made it so he didn't, but someone else has to die.
Yeah.
But, like, to gain the immortality, you got to, like, extra people got to die.
Yeah, I think magic is, and even the show sort of talks about this. Magic's all about balance, right? Like, something has to happen for something to happen, right? Like, I think that's a typical sort of magic thing. But they definitely don't really explain it.
Yeah,
it just, like, shows up young suddenly. So theoretically,
but
it was
again,
just a different
only
spell.
kind of young.
Yeah. Look, he still wants to, like, be cool and fuck. Like,
he still has a master's degree.
Yeah. He wants to be taken seriously. He doesn't want to go through high school again.
Yeah, I mean, well, and fair enough. If if I got to, like, reverse my aging, there's a point where I'd
University Reed when he's like
University Reed. God, that guy. Yeah,
he did karate. He was having sex with stage production people.
I want to know if we really could live forever, what would happen to, I feel like our brains can't handle that amount of information.
Right.
True.
So, like,
I can't handle the amount of information I have.
Like, yeah,
Well,
you think you'd like drop more memories off the front end of your life, kind of thing,
right? Like, you would just start forgetting everything, and if
right.
you really did live forever, you would get to a point where you couldn't even remember your birth, right? Like,
Yeah,
totally.
So you'd have to, like, keep.
Wait, can you remember your birth?
Yeah, hang on. Wait.
or like who you. like your childhood and like those
Yeah,
formative-
doesn't everybody remember going through the canal?
I said yeah,
Right
like I
line?
could.
on the Erie Canal. Yeah.
It's very-
Hi,
No, you're-
Mom, I'm coming out.
You would almost need to
very
pair
thick
it.
southern
You
accent.
need to pair it with some sort of like Star Trek thing of like, I'm gonna like upload some non-essential memories to to the cloud.
or Harry
I
Potter,
need more
you put it in a
storage.
sieve. Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's right. But you got to like put it somewhere to free up your brain for more new stuff.
That's a
or
very
whatever.
good point that we don't talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
Like I can't remember like
Is
simple
there, like,
tasks my wife gives me. Like
is there maximum like hard drive storage in your brain? There must be theoretically, right?
yeah, if you're like constantly forgetting things and remembering new things, I would imagine there must
I mean,
be.
maybe that is true just in life as it is.
Yeah.
The reason that memories are fuzzy or things only come back to you when they're brought up, and
This
not
is
just
the
like
you get the real science on the Ghostfacers podcast.
I mean, I don't know, man.
No, this is real hard hitting science.
Yeah,
Cum jokes and science. That's what
rats
we're
are
known for.
immortal.
Yeah.
There's only 2 deadly tricks.
And join us for MK's tour of Supernatural in Austin, Texas.
MK Paulsen's tour of Supernatural. Some of the locations is just where the actors hang out every once in a while. Like not like
They once went to this laundromat.
yeah.
I saw Jared at this crosswalk once.
Yeah. The strip mall is where what's his name and Carl Rove get their dry cleaning done. Everybody put your hands together for this dry cleaners.
That's
All right, now costume change.
Yeah, the grocery store next door has a really great savory kale salad.
That just sounds like a real fact.
It is, and it was good. I'm like, how are you making kale this good? But
Maybe they're using P.T. Barnum's book.
Oh my God. God, what a bad use for that. That's
well,
the first page.
Yeah, some other vegetable has to die, so that
Yeah.
can be good.
Yeah. You wonder why we haven't heard from parsnips in a while?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's right. So the episode
Parsnips, carrots' ugly sister.
hot take on parsnips.
Yeah, man, if you want to get that carrot dish, I'll take the parsnip dish so you can
Yeah.
do it.
Hey, look, they all make great chips within a Terra chip bag. So the what are we even doing anymore? So this episode ends outside, and Ruby arrives, and Sam gets in the car with her. He says he's in. Ruby asks Sam why he changed his mind, and Sam says that he doesn't want to be hunting monsters when he's old.
Odd thought here.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, Sam is right. It would suck to just be stuck in the same rut even when he's old. But also, it's like literally the only thing that defines him. And he's like, I want to get rid of the thing that I'm good at that defines me, because I haven't seen any other rudderless old people that would make that a cautionary tale.
The feeling every comedian has had when the pandemic hit. Let's find out who I am when I don't have the thing that defines me.
Yeah. My personality is entirely wrapped up in this. And you're going to take that from me?
Oh, you're going to see the darkness.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, well, that was the end of the episode. Let's talk about our reviews. MK, we typically review this out of 5, whatever you want. You are our guest. Why don't we start with you? A summation of your thoughts and some sort of score out of 5.
I will give it 5 MK bus tours of Austin to see the supernatural actors. It's essentially stalking at this point. We're just stalking.
Your Honor.
the
Yeah,
show.
but upgraded, you got a bus.
You know, I don't know that I have a good enough. This is the only episode of the show I've ever watched.
With that, tell us what you thought about it.
Yeah, what was it like to take in this episode without that context?
I mean, honest to God, honest thoughts.
Yes, please.
I think for me personally, I never got into this show, but it's also at this point in season 4, it's like watching something from 2008. It is like, for me, it's hard to jump into it just
Totally.
a little, because I'm like, oh, this is kind of dated. This is
Totally.
is not like present day. But that being said, I also can appreciate like the kind of Buffy or Star Trek appeal of it. Like it's kind of episodic, right? It's kind
Totally.
of
There's overarching stuff as you're seeing, even in on this episode, but it is still mostly episodic, especially for the first 6 seasons.
I mean, it's almost a procedural. Like it's almost like a police procedural.
Totally.
I don't know. I'm like, I can appreciate it. I can see the value in people liking it. I don't know if I'm going to go head first to watch 15 seasons. I'll be honest. I don't know if I have that bandwidth.
That's fair.
I'm really busy with these tours.
Yeah, it's weird. You don't like the show, won't watch anything, but you still got a great tour going on in Austin.
For anybody that didn't like the tour joke at the beginning, and I did it 14 times, you're welcome.
Yeah, we've never repeated a joke no one likes on this show.
But yeah, no, it was fun. What did you guys think?
I mean, we talked about the kind of the one scene that kind of doesn't have a purpose other than like
cheap joke,
the cheap kind of vaguely
homophobic
joke. But outside of that, things I like in this episode, I like that the episode kind of starts with this very tongue-in-cheek, like everything is laughing at everything else. Like from laughing at the Criss angelization of magic to also being like, wait, the kind of like old veteran is getting made fun of by a guy in a dollar store cape. Is like, wait, he's the like,
he's the better guy.
He's the more prolific magician. Like everything about it is very kind of funny that it's like this sort of closed society. From the outside, everyone is a dork, and on the inside, there's like strata of dorks. It's a thing we get to in other episodes of Supernatural, but in other contexts where it's examining other kinds of fandom or things like that. And I think that's a lot of fun. And then the fact that the episode starts there where it's kind of like winky and silly and very like poetic. And then about halfway through the episode turns to full existential dread. Who am I? What's the point of even living? Hey, we could live forever. It's like, but why? Like the episode kind of does like a real, like it turns on its head, but there's not one scene that does it. It's just the first half is like, we're all having a laugh at this world. And the back half is like, man, life is a fucking slog. And then, and there's something I enjoy about that when Supernatural does that kind of like, we gave you some laughs, but now fuck you, it's sad. And so I think Barry Bostwick's great. I think his performance is really good. The guy who plays Charlie is really good. I get why the Ruby stuff is in there in this episode because we want to set up in future episodes that he's going down this route. But I do think there's maybe too many scenes, too much of it.
One would have been fine.
It should just be a little bit tighter of like that he's already thinking about it or something. I think I'd give this, I'm going to give this 4.25 Deadly Illusions. Fair. Which is 2.25 more than are in this episode.
Yeah, I think like going off and think of what you said, like goddamn, the acting is incredible. It's interesting because like the like undercurrent like narrative in this whole thing is just like, hey, when you get older, you're less good at stuff, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, you're taking people who are like maybe acting is like one of the few things where it's like you just get better in acting a lot of the time as you get older. Like
the irony is that in an episode about obsolescence, the person holding it down is the person who's been at it the longest.
Yeah. Like the incredible performances that we're getting from all three of these like really like prolific actors, I think. And really just like are like they kind of steal a whole show. Like typically Jared and Jensen, like Sam and Dean are the characters that you're focusing on. This really doesn't have anything to do with them. Like they're so barely in this.
It's neat to see other actors that are supposed to have the lifelong bond that Sam and Dean are in the middle of making.
Yeah, they really like do huge winks when they're like, they're my best friends, like my brother. Like really like leading into that whole thing. But it's like incredible performances. I think like, there's definitely a couple clunky moments that like take me out of it for sure. But I do really like the concept. I think it's an interesting way to sort of like, we've seen a lot of different like magic or magician sort of like narratives throughout society. And to have one that's like, like especially like something that when you're competing against things like the Prestige and stuff, right? Like to take something like it's like a microcosm of that.
Well, it's interesting because this is like these are stage magicians, but magic is real and someone is using real magic. And the Prestige is like these are stage magicians magicians. Magic isn't real, but science is.
Yes.
And he does like magic science.
Yeah,
like, there's
exactly.
two kind of approaches to that.
But they're playing off a very similar kind of concept, which is
Prestige would have been like 2008. It would have been around.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time,
yeah. They're
and
doing
The
a very
Illusionist was around the same time.
yeah,
too, right?
exactly. So I think like for some reason stage magic was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with like David Blaine and like
Yeah.
the stage magic was having a moment at the time, which is interesting, and I like their sort of take on it. I think it's funny to like point out Criss Angel, though he's kind of like the Guy Fieri of magic. Like, is it worth?
Is that true? Is Criss Angel secretly amazing? Like given
I don't
money
know
to charity and
I haven't
stuff?
heard otherwise. He hasn't been canceled in any way that I've seen yet. So
Right.
maybe he's just.
let's not
idiot.
throw around our Lord and Savior Guy Fieri's name.
Sure, okay.
lightly.
He's Smash Mouth then. He's the Insane Clown Posse.
He's ICP of magic.
Yeah. It looks like shit and it is annoying, but it's like, is he harming anybody with
Right.
the way that he's doing a thing? It's like, not really, but it's fun to make fun of, right?
Sure.
So there's like some component of that. But I think that, for me, I'm going to give this 4.25 nooses for magic. It's normal.
That's why I bought this.
Yeah, for magic. MK Paulsen, thank you so much for coming on the show. Can you tell people where they can find you, where you are online, what stuff you got going on?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram and Twitter at MK Paulsen. That's Paulsen. Check out my celebrity stalking tours in Austin, Texas.
It's really broadened now.
If you're in a bus, it's not stalking, it's a tour.
Yeah, I do live in Los Angeles and have a broken foot, so I won't be there, but I can send you a map.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, so stop by this address if you want to hang out.
Yeah,
I'll do
I'm
shows
really
from my
sad.
bed.
I'm thinking of doing the Table of Death, just in my own apartment, trying to get some. Seeing what the torque is on the ceiling fan. That's too bad. I don't want to.
It won't be the first or last time someone makes a joke like that on this show, so don't worry.
No, that's
For
true.
sure. I mean, watch my stand up and I'll see you in hell.
That's
Holy
amazing.
shit. That is incredible. So if you want to keep the conversation going with us, we've got a Patreon where you can get access to our Discord.
Yeah, patreon.com/ghostfacers. It's just a $1 level. It gives you access to Angel Radio, which is our growing Discord fan community. It's a
It's
ton of
getting
fun in
big.
there.
We got lots of people on there.
Yeah, so it's a fun way to support us and chat to each other about, Supernatural and all the stuff that we like about it.
For sure. And if you don't have a buck, that's all right. You can still send us an email.
ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
Or we're on all the other social media platforms for our age.
At GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. and MySpace.
Yeah.
We're not.
No. Look for us. I dare you.
Friendster.
Don't forget to subscribe every week so you can get our episode automatically into your feed. Give us 5 stars when you're there, because that definitely helps us out. And we'll read that review on a future episode. We just uploaded a new piece of merch for all my... I don't feel comfortable saying this.
Lore whores, baby.
Yeah, a little. Our fans asked for this, which is why we made it. It's the Lore Whore shirt.
Yeah.
We also have sweaters and other swag. So you can buy that at ghostfacerspodcaststore.com. Listen to our other podcast about comic books. If you're interested in the stuff on here, we'll find the same stuff on that podcast.
Yeah, it's the Dr. DC podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, and it's Dr. DC podcast on Instagram and at Dr. DC on Twitter and TikTok.
Oh yeah, baby, because we're
I'm
young,
so
and
cool and young. I'm gonna live forever. I got P.T. Barnum's book.
That's right.
I feel like I'm the old dinosaur, and the people at the bar that are wearing capes are the people on TikTok now. And they're like, look at this.
capes
old
are back in.
We're bringing capes
not.
back.
Fuck you, capes are
I
back
want
in.
capes to come back in, but I don't.
They are. They are.
Everyone wants capes to come back, but they're not.
For a lot of like clothes that like are typically female are becoming like capes.
But capes?
Yeah, they are. They have like little half capes. They're real cute.
Like capelets, yeah.
Yeah.
Capelets. I do feel like it is a thing, but I don't know if they're like. I don't know if they're like taking the world by storm the way you're implying right now.
Yeah. I do have that knit like woman's poncho that I like, my very
That's
warm
true.
winter sweater that I
yeah,
wear.
we need to bring back like fellowship capes, like cloaks.
Y'all should get some capes made for your community. That'd be fun.
Oh my god,
Like,
I need to make some phone calls. MK, please say goodbye.
Thank you guys. It's been an honor to be here.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Say goodbye, bitch. Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.